to Love Talk, because it's God's talk and God is love. Oh, I'm so glad to be back with you. We're going to continue our discussion today. This is part 2 of the Plan Producer. And just to do a recap, remember I was letting you know that everyone, if you want to be a Hollywood producer, maybe you can't go to Hollywood, but you are a producer because people are watching you. People are watching me. They're watching you in your home. They're watching you in your neighborhood, your community. So if you can't go to Hollywood, how about let's go to Familywood? How about, Familywood? How about let's go to Communitywood? How about going to the Workplacewood? Because someone is watching you. And as they're watching you, they are actually standing on the shoulders of the things that you build if they follow in your footsteps. So a plan producer is a person that plans to produce. And I want to use the example of David today, how he was a great plan producer, but he was not, of course, greater than God. God is the ultimate plan producer, because before he created us, he made the heavens, he made the earth, he gave us somewhere to live, he gave us something to eat, he gave all of that. He did all of that. You understand? So God gave us our basic needs before he brought us on. And that works the same, like if a man wanted to get married, before you could get married, you got to be able to take care of yourself and provide for a woman. And of course, women, if you want to be marriage material, you want to come and present yourself as a queen. You don't want to have a lot of baggage, a lot of issues. You just want to be in a royal and kingly state, mainly in your character. Okay? I don't know where that came from, but we got it. But so anyway, listen. To review, so you can get what I'm saying, so you have an understanding of what we're saying here in part 2. Just understand, like in Hollywood, I did a little background, just a little study on Hollywood. Do you know that Hollywood was incorporated in 1903? And Hollywood actually is a municipal, it is a single administrative division in Los Angeles. It's located in central Los Angeles. It's just a district. It's called the district where dreams are made. That's what they call it. But it's also referred to as the U.S. film industry. But as I said, initially it was incorporated in 1903 or born in 1903. And they had their own set of statutes, their own set of laws. They also had power within themselves to self-govern themselves, their own district. But it was granted by the national and the regional government. So it's just like think about how we are today. You can go and incorporate and start a business, but it has to be governed by the laws of the state and the federal government. So when God created us at our birth, at our incarnation, our natural birth, and we have an incarnation of our spiritual birth. But when we came in here naturally, God gave man, we live on the earth, right? But it's laws that govern this earth, the laws of gravity, it's the laws of lift, the laws of flight. Those are things that we can't change. And everything that we do as man on this earth is governed by that. You see, you understand? So good. So the same in your, so when you get born again, that's your recreated birth, then that's a spiritual birth. And we'll get into that later on. Okay, so what happened with Hollywood? I kind of went off a bit. In Hollywood, so what happened in 1910, Hollywood was consolidated with the city of Los Angeles. And right after that, that's when it really took off as a prominent film industry. Hollywood, that's where the studios are. You heard of Columbia Studio, Disney Studio, Paramount Pictures, Let's see, what's that other one? Warner Brothers and Universal Brothers. It's all out there. The area code for Hollywood is 323. So if your phone rings and it's 323, is it Hollywood calling you, or do you know someone in Hollywood? Okay. Yeah, so Hollywood Boulevard, now we heard about that. It's a 15 block long. It's from east to west, 15 blocks, and that's where the Hollywood Walk of Fame is, where anybody in the entertainment business, they will give them a star for great accomplishment. What it notes is it's a permanent public monument to achievement in the entertainment business. This star is made out of brass. It's made out of terrazzo and brass. They say it's over 2,700 stars on that Hollywood Walk. Guess how many people, as of 2010, guess how many people go and visit the Hollywood Walk? It says over 10 million. Can you imagine 10 million people walk on that that's just visitors. That's not the locals, okay? That's not the locals. So we're just talking about visitors. And then guess what else was interesting? I thought was very interesting. The trademark and that logo for Hollywood, the Chamber of Commerce owns that, and you cannot use that trademark. You can't use that trademark on nothing. Hollywood, when someone in the entertainment business gets a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, it costs them, listen, $50,000. $50,000. This pays for the creation of the star, the installation of the star, and the maintenance of the whole Walk of Fame. Isn't that interesting? Yes, that's very interesting. They have to pay for that, but most people in the entertainment business, they have them big bucks like that. Another FYI I thought was interesting. The first person to receive a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame was Joanne Woodward. She was the first. It was a woman, and she was the first to receive in February the 9th, 1960. But look how uncanny this is. She got an Academy Award for her skills in the movie. It was in 1957, the movie The Three Faces of Eve. But The Three Faces of Eve. Eve was our first woman on this earth. And she made a movie too. And we know what she did. We don't want to follow in her example of disobeying God and disobeying your husband. But Joanne Woodward won the first Academy Award. And she won Academy Award for The Three Faces of Eve in 1957, and she received a star on the Hollywood Boulevard February the 9th, 1960. Now, what person in entertainment business has the most stars on the Hollywood Boulevard? Guess what? Bob Hope. Many of you don't know who that is, but if you don't, you can Google him. Bob Hope has 4 stars. Hope, 4 stars. How uncanny is that? Also, Tony Martin was another entertainment guy that had it. And the Apollo landing also, that has 4 stars. So those are the only 2 people and one institute that has 4 stars on the Hollywood Boulevard. So listen, let's talk about you being a Hollywood producer in your home and you getting some stars. Because the stars that God wants us to, God already told us he want us to be bigger than a star. He want us to be the light of the world, the salt of the earth. And we can do that by following his rules and regulations. So let's look at I want to look at David. I have to slow down. I'm so excited and anxious when I come out here to talk to you guys about this subject. But you know what the Lord told me? You know what? Slow down, daughter. Slow down. We talked about last week about we began to talk about Solomon, David and Solomon. How David, he wanted to build a kingdom for God. A temple for God, because God had been so good to him. God had given him many, many victories in war. his purpose in war was to be, his purpose in life was to be a warrior and to deliver Israel from their enemies. And he did that. He stayed faithful and obedient to God. And his first words to Solomon was his son, but he was real young when David was dying. And David's first words was to obey God first. That's important over anything. That is important over anything. And I want you to remember that. That is important. So let's go down here and see how David gave us an example in real life to how he was a plan producer. He planned, he prepared, he made provisions and preparations to propel Solomon in his purpose. And this is what we're doing in life because people are watching you. Yes, they are. So listen, let's see what David did. I'm going to grab this over here, my Bible. Let's go to 1 Chronicles 22. Let's look at that. 1 Chronicles 22. I want to at least take you through, we get through this part today. And let's look at what David provided for Solomon and for God to build a temple. And it says here, David was telling his people, okay, here you go. David said, this is the house of the Lord, and that is the altar of the burnt offering for Israel. And David, let me look up here. And David commanded all the strangers in the land of Israel. He commanded them to be masonries, so they could cut the stone to build the house for the Lord. Now he's still here, but he's older. And also David prepared, it said he prepared for the iron in abundance. The iron for the nails and for the doors and the gates. And for the joinings and the brass in abundance. Look, the brass in abundance without weight. He also gave cedar trees in abundance. Look at that. Everything in abundance. He gave cedar trees in abundance. He used the Zizonians. That is to be built for the Lord must be exceeding magnifico. Exceeding magnifico. Of fame and of glory throughout all the countries. I therefore now will make, look what he said, there it is, there's the word. I will make preparation. He said, I will make preparation for that. Y'all see that? 1 Chronicles 22, verse 5. David said, I will make preparation. Now, David know he can't build it, but he wanted to help make preparations to build the temple. And it says, so David prepared abundantly before his death. David left a legacy. And we can't do everything. It's a lot of things that we can't do. But can you help someone else do it? Because that God will give you credit for the whole building and construction of it. That's just how God works. If you help a little, you will get credit for the whole amount. Who does fair like that? You know that don't happen in our world. So what it says that, okay, so I just want to read that part right there. So now let's go over to 1 Chronicles chapter 28 and just look at some things that David gave in preparation of that. So just move over a few pages. 28 verse 11. Let's start at verse 11. Look what it says. And it said, and David gave Solomon, look at that. And David gave Solomon, his son, the pattern of the porch. God gave David the blueprint. He gave this to him by the Spirit. The scripture tells us that. He gave him the pattern of the porch of the house. He gave him the pattern, and verse 12 tells us the pattern of all that he had by the Spirit. God revealed it to him by the Spirit. I'm going to kind of skim through it. not skim, but just hit the points. And then verse 13, he gave him the course for the priests and the Levites. The priests and the Levites, those are the ones that serve in the temple. You know, when the people brought the animal sacrifices and stuff, they served that. They attended to the people for God on that. Look at verse 14. And he gave gold by weight. And he also gave instruments of all manner of service, silver of all instruments of silver by all weight, for all instruments for every kind of service. Even the weight for the candlesticks was gold. The lamps were gold by weight. Let's see, what else? He gave gold for the tables, for the showbread, or the tables that were in there, the silver tables. He gave gold for the fish hooks. For the flesh hooks, the bowls, the cups. He gave for the gold basins. And likewise silver for the weight of every basin of silver. He gave gold for the altar of incense, refined gold by weight. My Lord, he gave gold for the chariots. You know, there was angels, big angels in the most holy room. He gave gold for all that. And David said, verse 19, and David said, the Lord made me understand in writing by his hands upon me, even all the work of this pattern. You see David right there telling you God gave it to him. No, there was not a temple like that anywhere. They had the tabernacle in the wilderness, you know, when they were in the wilderness, that was made with cloth, but it did have the similar pattern. But this temple was made out of cedar, pure gold, silver, and brass. And David said to his son, look, this is important right here. And David said to his son, verse 20, he said, Solomon, be strong and of good courage and do it. Be strong and of good courage and do it. Do it. Whatever God has told you to do it. I'm doing it right now. I'm doing what I do. I have to do some other things God told me to do as well. Watch it. And it say, be strong and of good courage and do it. Do it. Fear not, nor be dismayed. Do not get discouraged. For the Lord your God, even my God, he will be with you. He will not fail you. God will not fail you. So if God is with you, you will not fail. Do you understand? He will not forsake you until you have finished all the work for the service of the house of the Lord. Listen, God won't fail you. He won't forsake you until you get finished. He won't do it. So bring God in frame, just like that in the Hollywood industry or the movie industry, they talk about being in frame. In frame is a term where the person or the thing or the object comes in the frame. Like, so again, like you're looking at me on this video, I'm in frame. I'm in frame. But if I go out of frame, you know, you understand. So in frame is when the person or the thing comes in frame. Listen, I'm in frame, but you should bring, look, we should always bring Jesus in frame with us. Jesus is in frame with me right now because I'm magnifying and talking about him. So in frame, the in frame, what you're doing in your family, when no one can see behind closed doors, only your family members, is Jesus in frame with you? Is your character and are you acting out Jesus? Do you have the mind of Jesus, the thoughts of Jesus? Does what come out of your mouth, would it be something that what Jesus would say? Bring Jesus in frame, because you see, Solomon told him the first thing to do is to obey. And just as I was saying, Hollywood was incorporated in 1903, the birth of that. Listen, and then it rebirthed again when it consolidated with Los Angeles, with the city of Los Angeles. Look, When we are born again by the Spirit of God, consolidated with God and with Jesus and in the family of God, we need to act according to God's rules. He should be in frame. And God is so good. He's the greatest plan producer, because you see how David made preparations. He planned to make preparations, provision. He even gave the pattern to Solomon to propel him in his purpose. This is what God did for us. Yes, he did. God gave us everything pertaining to life and godliness. Listen, if you're sick, God takes care of that. If your mind is not stable, God takes care of that. If you got issues in your heart, anger issues, jealous issues, you can name them, God will take care of that. But you got to come to him and incorporate yourself with the ways of God. God is such a gentleman. He doesn't make us do it. You know how it's a lot of tyranny and dictatorship going on right now, even in our own country. People want to rule over people because they don't like them. They want to rule over people because they don't like the color of their skin. They want to rule over people because they don't like they don't like their choice of religion. They want to rule over people because of the gender. This is what God did. God gave man a choice. He gave you the right to choose. So who is man to dominate man? God told man to subdue the earth, not one another. So if God is the highest, he is the highest plan producer, the highest of anything that exists, because he created us. We did not create him. If he give us a choice, who is man to take a choice from us? Oh no, we will not allow that. And we have to govern ourselves according to the laws of God. And that is the law of God, to allow a man to choose. But there's consequences in choice, like it is, like the Bible says in Deuteronomy 28. You could choose life and all these blessings coming. They gonna roll you over, knock you down. Abundant blessings. And you can choose death and all these curses are coming. It's your choice. But I know that you are a good plan producer and you're going to choose life. What shoulders are you leaving for people to stand on? People are watching us. You are watching me. You don't really know me, far as in my personal life. But as a producer of this video production, this video show, I always say this is my show because I'm prophesying and speaking my future, that I will have a TV show. So on my show, I am magnifying God in his way. That's why it's love talk, because it's God talk and God is love. You see. So look, we kind of read a bit about David, didn't we? I wanted you to see that. It wasn't a little bitty preparation that David gave, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. He gave him all of these gems and minerals in abundance. They didn't even bother to weigh them. It was so many, he didn't even bother to weigh them. It was just so much. Yes, and that's why the account tell you Solomon took 7 years to build God's temple, because of the preparations that David had given him and set up for him. But he took 13 years to build his house. He didn't have those same preparations. But he was wise. He had all this. He was a king. He had everything he needed. It just took longer with his house because he didn't have the preparations that his father had given him. Look, can you be a plan producer? Yes, you can. You are anyway. That's what I'm telling you. You're a plan producer and don't know it. You're doing a Familywood. If you can't go to Hollywood, you're doing Familywood. You can't go to Hollywood, you're doing Communitywood. You can't go to Hollywood, you're doing Workplacewood. You can't go to Hollywood, you're doing Churchwood. What you producing? What frames are you producing in these different spaces in life? Yes, what are you filming? What is your character producing? What are you saying? What are you doing when you in a frame? If Jesus not in that frame with you, well, I don't want to say. If Jesus is not in that frame with you, it may not be all good. You understand what I'm saying? That's what I'm talking about. So look, yes, this is what I mean, beloved. Let's say you're doing a cooking show. You're going to video a cooking show. Have Jesus in frame. You don't maybe necessarily have to preach. But then when you're talking about the recipe or talking about what you're doing, you don't want to use vulgarity. You want to use words that would bless people. That's having Jesus and God in frame with you. Yes. How do you like that? What you think about it? Okay, so let's go with this. The first thing, look how significant it was. David on his deathbed, the first thing he said was, Solomon, you got to obey God. You got to stand up before God like a man, obey all his laws, all his precepts. In the kingdom, God said he would never tear the kingdom from you. It would be always someone that sit on the throne. Watch this. Hollywood, remember I told you Hollywood used to be a separate municipality, but then they incorporated with the state of Los Angeles. But it was governed by the national laws, the regional and the national laws. If they did not abide with that, they would not exist. When we don't do how God tells us, we don't have the blessings of what he gives. We get the curses of what the devil gives. So that is very important. So look, give someone some good shoulders to stand on. Watch what you filming. Watch what you producing. Because someone is watching you. Sometimes, like when I do my video, and I'll listen at my video when I'm finished. Because, I want to edit it. I want to see how I can improve. I always look at it. That's what you ought to be doing. You need to take a back seat or take a theater seat and kind of just replay your act. Producing a film, you are producing a movie every day, every moment. You are a planned producer. You may not go to Hollywood, but you are in the Familywood, you are in the neighborhood, and you are in the Communitywood, and you are in the churchwood, and you are in the Workplacewood. You are a planned producer. Give someone something good to stand on. So I'm going to end this one here right now, and this is our part 2, and then we'll come back and talk about a few more things on the planned producer. Yes, I think we could do that. We'll talk about a few more things. I'll just sum it up. But anyway, I hope that you got something out of this. If you got any encouragement, any value from this, please like, please share, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Yes, and I appreciate everything, and I will see you again on Love Talk. And remember, until next time, worry not, pray a lot, keep your mind locked, giving thanks to God, our peace and our rock. Love you, beloved. See you next time. God bless you.